First of all, let's define the problem. The problem is a budget deficit in the fiscal year that we're currently in, which ends June 30, 2013. That was our task. No more, no less. So as we sat at that first day, our goal was to close a gap of $252 million. Now, we all had our various ideology and philosophy and ideas on how we should best close that gap. Every line item in a budget has an effect on a human being. Maybe someone we represent, maybe someone we don't. But every single person that is affected by a budget lives in the state, our state. And whether you voted for the budget that we were trying to fix or not, many of us believed that it is our problem, not the governor's problem or the Democrats' problem. This is the state of Connecticut. And people come before politics. This is our state. Therefore, when we have a problem, it is our problem. And it was in that spirit that we sat down at that table. And we had a very vigorous, trust me when I tell you, discussion about how to solve the problem. That Friday, when we came in, it didn't look good. It didn't look good at all. We felt we're not going to do it. We were far enough apart that a solution looked impossible. And again, as I indicated, and indulge me, I don't mean to repeat myself, but I think it's so important with regard to what we are about to do. With the background of the news and the reports coming from Newtown, we did our job, many with tears in our eyes, breaking to call loved ones and take calls from people who were directly affected by the tragedy. At one point, we were together in the room and we paused and we watched the president speak. Some moments later, we paused and watched our governor speak at the scene. I watched some of my colleagues, many of whom have children, who were in that room, stare at that television and cover their mouth, and I saw their eyes mist with emotion. That was the atmosphere we were in. Besides saying what a tragedy it was, besides telling our stories, we never brought what happened in Newtown to bear on what we were doing, at least not directly. There were times that we were this close to walking away, to saying it's not going to happen, that we're going to come back in and do what unfortunately has become commonplace in politics. We were going to stand by our ideology, we were going to be immobile, we were going to scream at each other and point fingers and not have a solution. And then something happened. I don't know what. We never talked about it in that room, never once. But we started to get a little more comfortable with each other, a little more trusting. We went to the speaker's office and we physically sat closer together. It wasn't intended, it just happened that way. And slowly, idea after idea would come up. And maybe the person who proposed it wasn't getting 100% of what they wanted. But they got a little bit here and a little bit there, and the other person gave a little bit. And before you know it, drained by emotion of the day, drained by fatigue of the process, it was about 12:30, I believe. And we hit the number. We hit the number. And we looked around the table to verify, because you know this place. Well, I didn't mean, And we started shaking our heads. I think we did it. I think we did it. That when we work together, regardless of who's in the governor's office, of who's in the majority and who's in the minority, when we respect each other's ideas, when we sit together at a table, when we're committed to solving a problem, when the number one thing isn't party or politics or power, but the people we represent, we do good things. We do good things. Not everyone's going to like anything that's in this thing. That's the definition of a compromise. Everyone walks away a little ticked off, a little mad, a little feeling that they didn't get exactly what they want. But when you think about it, and you think of the true nature of this chamber, a representative body, a microcosm of the very state that we represent, isn't that the way it's supposed to be? I think we all know, and we learn every day, that new challenges and new problems are going to pop up. If we could follow that process that I described, if we could embrace and hold dear that spirit of Sandy Hook, we could look those that we represent in the eye and said we could say we did our job.